So how many of you think that you can only be a man to be a doctor? Anyone? Well, this kind of seems obvious, right, to most people, but apparently it's not. So what I did was explored gender roles and how people view them. So, how I got this idea was I saw this picture on Tumblr because apparently somebody had to take this test in their health class. And it has a bunch of occupations on the side, such as like plumber, judge, president of the United States, ballet dancer, hairstylist, and then you had to say whether it was a male profession, a female profession, or both. So an important thing to remember when I'm talking about gender roles is that there's a difference between sex and gender. So sex is the biological and physiological characteristics that men and women have, and gender is socially constructed roles, behavior, attributes that are given, that a given society considers appropriate for men and women. And these are categorized by the words masculine and feminine. So society dictates gender roles. This is an important thing to remember. This isn't something that you're born with. This is something that has been developed from even the oldest of times when women were gatherers and men were hunters, which has evolved into, like in the olden, in the olden days, well, I guess like 50 years ago or whatever, women were housewives and men went and had the jobs. That was just how it was. And even though things have gotten better in that sense, like during World War II, women had to get jobs because the men went to war. So that kind of opened the floodgates for women in the workplace. But this is still like a very, very important thing. Gender roles are still very prominent, and even though it may seem like it doesn't affect anything anymore because like women can do it, like have jobs and etc., you know, it still has very negative effects on people. For example, no, go back.
Okay.
For example, there's a negative connotation with being a girl, like you throw like a girl, and if boys cry, they're being girly, which is awful. And it also inhibits women and men in the workplace to do things that they might want to do, because it might seem girly for a man to get a job as a nurse, and it might not seem like a woman is fit to be president. Also, gender roles provide an environment where sexism is very prominent. That's kind of what I've been talking about. But also, okay, I think I've lost a card, but also it limits not only cisgender people, but also people who don't have solid genders to conforming with societal expectations of gender. So I did a similar survey to the one that I showed you at the beginning to the students at our school. And before I did it, like I was talking to people about it, and a lot of people that I talked to, which were mostly my friends and teachers, were like, wow, I don't know anyone who would say anything but both. But I was quite surprised at the results. So, can you press the next one? This was the demographic of the people that I surveyed. I got 130 responses. About 55% were female, 39% were male, and 6% were other. And I got a pretty even distribution of the grades, which I thought was good. The other people were teachers in the grades category, which I didn't count their results very much. But so you can see that the demographic that I got was pretty even, and I hoped for like a really solid results. My hypothesis was that mostly that the younger kids maybe 9th and 10th grade, wouldn't know as much about as much about not having to conform to gender roles. But these were the results, some of the results. I picked 4 of them because I gave like 20. Anyway, maybe click again. So for nurse, that 34% said female, 62% said both. That's a huge, like, section of people who think that only females can be nurses, which I found really kind of scary. But you can see in the next one also. 42% thought that only males could be president. Look at the next one. 59% thought only housekeepers could be female. And 59% only thought that auto body repair people could be male. So, my conclusions, though, and what I learned was kind of not very conclusive. There weren't very many correlations, which I found kind of weird because you would think that there would be, but it was mostly the same amount of percentage that each demographic, like females, males, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders, they all basically thought the same thing about